Hello, everybody, and welcome to Got Your Back Short Shift Post-Game Edition. I'm Ryan Rishaug. 7-2 loss at the hands of the Carolina Hurricanes for the Edmonton Oilers tonight. Another hat trick from Svechnikov. Holy smokes. And another night of struggles for Oiler netminder Jack Campbell as those struggles continue. After a bounce-back game, real tough one here tonight. We're going to get to Daniel Nugent-Bowman, who's on the road with the Oilers in Carolina in just a moment. But first, we remind you that Got Your Back Short Shift Edition is brought to you by Mid-City Construction Management, a locally owned family company specializing in civil construction projects for over 40 years. From roadways to excavation, underground utilities, paving, and concrete, they've played a huge role in the infrastructure of Edmonton and surrounding areas since 1980. Just recently spent some time on some of their job sites. Holy smokes. These guys do monstrous projects, and it's really cool. They're a local family company working on some of the biggest projects going around town. As we say, a good Thursday post-game evening to you. And we check in with our good buddy, Daniel Nugent-Bowman, who is traveling with the Oilers for, of course, The Athletic. Daniel, how are you, buddy?
I'm well, Ryan. It's nice to be on with you again. Nice to hear your voice.
Yeah, you too, man.
From very far away.
Yeah, very, very far away. Listen, familiar refrain after this game tonight, Daniel. I was listening to the post game that you guys were doing. I'm almost glad Jack Campbell didn't come out, because we were in that scrum the last time he did when he was so hard on himself. And when you saw that last goal go in after he gave it away, you just know that it's going to be another tough evening for Jack Campbell. But this is one where we'll go through the goals after the fact here, but this was another game where Jack Campbell was not on in the way the team needed him to be on, Daniel. Lots of other mistakes and lots of other issues in the Oilers game, but Campbell's been a story, and I think that's where we got to start.
Yeah, and to put your listeners and even you, Ryan, behind the curtain, we put in our media requests for players. I think the score was 4-2, and I mean, Campbell had led, and maybe the third and fourth goals weren't great, but the Oilers were in it, and there's some other storylines at play. And then obviously the last three goals weren't great either. And to your point, Ryan, I mean, he was very hard on himself at home against Dallas after that game. Obviously had a pretty good game the other night in Tampa, and we trotted him out again and let him sing his praises. So we kind of thought, like, are we just going to bring him out every single game? And so we decided we would kind of let him off the hook, or not request him anyway tonight. But yeah, there's no question the goaltending has been a factor, and certainly more bad games or below average games than good for Jack Campbell. You can count the good games on a couple of fingers. Probably the St. Louis one, and then the Tampa one. There may be another one where maybe the back half of the season opening game against Vancouver, where he allowed the 3 goals in 21 minutes or so, and then shut the door from there. But a lot of uneven or lousy games. And tonight, again, I don't think you could really fault him on the first 2, but certainly questionable on the ones from there. Obviously, Jordan Martinook made a pretty skilled, hand-eye play there, knocking it in from his backside. Maybe you don't fault him on that, but the last goal, the giveaway.
Well, let's run through them here.
Yeah.
Let's run through them here. Yeah. So the 1-0 goal, I'll disagree a little bit in that there were a number of mistakes on that goal. Jack Campbell came out to play the puck, and to me, the measure of a successful play of the puck for a goaltender is which team has it next. Campbell came out to play the puck, and he didn't get all of it that he wanted to. He was there in plenty of time, but he just kind of misplayed it. Put McDavid in a position where Carolina was there first. McDavid ended up in a puck battle that he lost, and then the goal ends up going in. So bit of a missed touch there from Campbell. I'd say McDavid's mistake was probably the bigger of the two, not being a little tougher in that corner. The 3-1, though. I mean, anytime your goalie is looking at his glove to see what's going on after a goal, and this is the second time in 3 games that Campbell has been staring at his glove, wondering what the heck's going on, that's a tough look. The low blocker one, last minute of the period. And yes, backhander. Yeah, the backhand again. There was, a turnover from Dylan Holloway for sure, but we're focused on Campbell here, and then a turnover on the 7-2 goal. Like, Multiple mistakes here that, are getting away from Campbell. And this team is making far too many mistakes for Campbell to also be piling up the mistakes as well.
Yeah, sorry, Ryan.
What's going on there?
Yeah, there's a fire alarm going off here. We're being told to evacuate.
Oh, you're kidding? So, you're still at the rink right now?
Yeah, still at the rink, just on the outside of the press room.
Oh man,
not sure. Yeah, so this is a little.
Do you want to exit the building and give me a shout back?
I might have to.
Yeah, you know what? Why don't you do that? I got some time here. I'll get to some player sound. You take care of yourself. Grab your stuff.
Okay.
And then give me a shout. We'll probably be going for another 10, 15 minutes here. So if you can call in that time, great. And if not, no worries. But thanks for the quick joining here after the game.
Yeah, right on. Okay, I'll call you in a minute.
Okay, Daniel, we'll talk to you soon. That's Daniel Nugent-Bowman from The Athletic, and running into some fire alarm issues. So that is going to cause us to have to adjust on the fly a little bit here, and that's okay. We're going to get to the Weiss Johnson soundbox here. We'll hear from some of the players. Why not after this game? And we will remind you that Weiss Johnson has a couple of really cool things on the go right now. As part of their 45th anniversary, for the next couple of months, they're going to be giving away, including installation, a new furnace or hot water tank to a community organization or a charity that is in need. So if you know a community organization or a charity that's in need of a hot water tank or a furnace, email info@weiss-johnson.com. That's info@weiss-johnson.com. The other thing they're doing, they're looking for the oldest furnace in Edmonton. So if you've just got a beast of a furnace in your basement and you think this might be the oldest one, send them some info. info@weiss-johnson.com as we go to the Weiss Johnson soundbox. Okay, who do we got? Let's start with Connor McDavid talking about just the sheer number of turnovers that this team continues to struggle with.
At the first and second. Yeah, we gotta protect the puck. We can't keep turning it over, especially against good teams. This is a real good team, and they'll make it hurt when you give them chances like that, and they did that tonight.
Zach Hyman on the same thing.
We lost 7-2, so one bounce here or there and going to change the game, right? So tough game, tough turnovers, just by the entire group, not just on the turnovers that led to goals, but turnovers that just led to pace of play and possession for them. So.
Okay, we just spent some time, beating up on Jack Campbell, and listen, rightfully so. Another struggle for him in this game. I've got him at 24 goals in his last 5 starts. So listen, he's not providing the type of goaltending that the Oilers hoped he would here in the early going, that he, frankly, hoped he would be able to here in the early going. They're going to have to continue to give him starts to get him sorted out. But I might submit to you that now is the time to start leaning a little bit more towards Stuart Skinner if he's going to continue to give you solid starts while Jack Campbell works himself out. I think you lean a little bit more towards Skinner. Listen, they could have given either guy this start here tonight. It was Skinner's turn. Not that they're taking turns. But Campbell played the last game. I think they gave him this start to let him try and build off of the positive results that he got last game. And they thought, hey, he's been hard on himself. It's been a tough stretch. Get him into this game. Let him go and see how he does. And didn't go so great. Potentially could have pulled him after 2. They changed up all their lines after 2. Maybe you come back with Skinner and maybe you get a little bit of a different result in the third period. That's kind of hindsight. Not always the most fair thing to do. But that was a thought that I had, in fairness, in that second intermission. I was thinking, I wonder if they're going to come back with Stuart Skinner in the third. They come back with Campbell. A few more mistakes. Was not a good night for him. But listen, this was not a good night for the team in general. They didn't take care of the puck. And this is a common refrain that we're hearing over and over from this group. That too many turnovers at inopportune times, at the blue lines. When you're playing against good teams, this is what they do, right? They transition. It's all about transition. And as soon as the puck turns over, good transitioning teams are going to pounce. And they're going to make it hurt. And that is what the Carolina Hurricanes did a good job of doing in this game here tonight. Back to the Weiss Johnson soundbox. Here's the head coach on the number of mistakes that this group was making.
The puck was on our tape. We were, we had full possession of the puck, and we didn't guarantee it out, or we didn't guarantee it deep. And what ended up happening was that a good team, and that is a really good hockey team over there, made you pay.
Yeah, they're a really good hockey team, but they played on the road the night before. I mean, the Oilers were the ones that were, I don't want to say rested because they've been playing lots of hockey, but they were not the more exhausted of the two teams. So give Carolina credit, man. They bucked up in a back-to-back situation, and they did a good job. Even when the Oilers had a sniff in the third period and were trying to find a way to force themselves back into that hockey game, Hurricanes weren't having it. They were applying pressure. They were holding the puck in the offensive zone, winning battles, and outworking Oilers, who were the ones that were trying to push and get themselves back into that game. So, listen, full marks to the Hurricanes, but again, the Oilers getting in their own way. A few of the costly mistakes that are notable late in periods. This is an absolute dagger to a team when late in a period, you're making mistakes that cost you goals. So you go late into the first period. Connor McDavid, I think there was a chance at one end, ends up going back the other way, and ends up in the back of the net, right? So that's a tough one to have happen late in a period. The other one that was no good was in the second period. Last couple of seconds, Dylan Holloway. Again, in the middle of the ice, that's one of those plays where late in a period, I know you got Leon Draisaitl on your wing and you're going to want to try and get him the puck whenever you can, but man, sometimes you got to just make sure. In a certain moment of a game, in a certain moment of a period, when you're trusted to be on the ice in the last minute of a period, you're going to have to err on the side of making sure. And Dylan Holloway made a soft play, tried to complete a pass that wasn't there to Draisaitl, turnover the other way. Now, Campbell needed to make that save. Absolutely all day long. But if Holloway gets that puck in deep, there's no shot on net. It doesn't even happen. So tough mistakes, tough turnovers. Wasn't just Holloway. Lots of players ended up turning pucks over. And there's Daniel. He says he's outside now, and we can give him a shout back. So we'll call Daniel back here. Just kind of doing this thing on the fly, folks. So yeah, kind of bear with us. Anyways, turnovers continue to be an issue for this Oiler group. Daniel, you there, pal?
I am. Sorry about that.
No, don't worry about it. We're still rolling here live on the podcast. Just let me find I got to get our shot back where I had you. Where are you? There it is right there. For people watching on YouTube, you can see us kind of change that shot back. Everything okay? What happened? Is there an actual fire or just somebody pulled the alarm?
No, there's some false alarm. Somebody being some disgruntled Oilers fan, I'm sure, who's upset or something. I'm not sure.
Yeah.
But all is well, and everyone is safe.
Should have pulled it after the second period. Maybe wouldn't have been quite so ugly. Listen, we just listened to some of the post game sound. I think we talked a fair amount here about Campbell, but let's get to some of the other puck management issues. I know, Daniel, we're in these scrums every day, and after these losses, it's a continued refrain about their ability to make smart plays with the puck and manage the puck and not constantly turn it over. And it wasn't just Holloway on the one goal. It was all over the ice, and it's been, in a lot of their losses, it's a very common denominator, isn't it?
Yeah, for sure. And what's probably so frustrating for this group, and I'm sure the coaching staff too, is it comes on the heels of maybe, if not their most complete game the other night, then certainly right up there against a team that has been to the Stanley Cup final the last 3 years and obviously won two of them. And the Hurricanes are certainly no slouches, a team that a lot of people think are cup contenders. You think they, be motivated and detailed enough to kind of continue that along. But no, that certainly wasn't the case. And, I was asking a lot of questions about the absence of Evander Kane. That's going to be a big topic, certainly in the immediacy and for the next few months.
Of course,
as he recovers from his wrist injury. They're missing Kyler Yamamoto too. Dylan Holloway gets promoted up the lineup, and Matthias Janmark comes in. So some new faces, new guys in different roles. But this team is veteran enough that they should be able to, withstand that, at least in terms of playing smartly. And that didn't happen for large swaths of the game tonight. And, you saw it from your television set, Ryan. I mean, it's that was probably the most glaring part, the most, disappointing part if you're an Oilers fan or on the team, the way that they played tonight.
Yeah, There was an update on Kyler Yamamoto. You were there, so I'll let you give it because he was scratched, and I think, he's been up and down the lineup a little bit lately. I didn't think there was any way it was a healthy scratch, but sounds like he's not even with the team anymore.
Yeah, when we kind of neglected, that's on us as media, and myself certainly included.
That's okay.
After the morning skate, but he didn't skate, so we didn't think he was healthy by any means, or at least I didn't.
Yeah.
So when he didn't play tonight, it wasn't a surprise, but they're sitting pretty close to Tyler Benson and Cliff Gostin in the press box. Usually scratches, a lot of times scratches are up in the press box, especially on the road where aren't too many places to kind of hide in the home rink. And Yamamoto wasn't there, so that kind of was a little disconcerting or whatnot. And certainly remembered to ask after the game. And yeah, he's gone back to Edmonton, which is not a good sign. Obviously, he's not going to play Saturday if he's not in this part of the continent. And for a player to leave a road trip is usually not a good sign. I mean, Jay Woodcroft's update was pretty vague in terms of him just being going home to be reevaluated. But again, when a guy leaves a road trip ahead of time, usually not a good sign. And so I can't really speculate any more than that. But I don't expect to see Kyler Yamamoto in the very near future here for the Oilers.
So in a couple of days, it's Evander Kane and Kyler Yamamoto. By the way, I don't think Yamamoto's been healthy for a while, right? He was hurt in the playoffs. Yeah. He was hurt early on, missed a game early on in the year. I think he's been banged up. I'm not going to tell too many tales out of school, but as we're in and around the locker room, often we'll catch a glimpse of a guy with some ice bags, and he's a guy who I would say looks like he's been pretty banged up this year. Not letting him off the hook for the offensive performance. I don't think the player's been right for a lot of this season. So they lose Yamamoto, they lose Evander Kane. Dylan Holloway might not be ready for showtime here. And by showtime, I mean top 6 minutes with one of either McDavid or Draisaitl. I don't think his game in this moment has built into him being ready for that. But it kind of doesn't matter. They don't really have a choice. He was there tonight. He'll probably be there again next game. Up and down moments tonight, like he's had much of the year, but this is going to be opportunity for this young player.
Yeah, I think the only thing they can do is maybe move like Ryan McLeod up.
Yeah, who's your third line center then?
Yeah, your bottom six is very.
Yeah, they need McLeod
depleted,
in the three center spot. Yeah, so I think it's going to be Holloway, man.
Yeah, I agree with you, and I think that's the only other thing that they could do, and I'm in agreement that that's probably not the best course of action. So, but you saw as the game wore on, I mean, in the third period, obviously it didn't work out very well aside from the McDavid goal that got them to 4-2. Jay Woodcroft did flip up his lines, putting Nugent Hopkins back at center with Holloway and Hyman kind of in a second line, but. Yeah, I think this is a good run for Dylan Holloway to kind of show something. I think there are times when his game, certainly that's where he's going to be, as a long-term NHLer. And there are flashes where he does show some promise there, but yeah, he's had some tough turnovers in games, and that's led to him either being essentially benched or his lifetime greatly diminished, or him getting pushed down the lineup. He is a player, obviously, that he's working his way back from an injury. He has been back for a few games now, so I think he's probably full bore and back in terms of where they want him to be. But still a very young player who's only a handful of games into his NHL career, and lots of road ahead, and there's lots of mistakes that will be made as he kind of gets his footing here. So
15
you're right,
minutes.
though, without those two guys, without those two guys, they're kind of in a tough spot, and their options are pretty limited.
Yeah, sorry to interrupt you there. 15 minutes, 15 seconds. He's dashed 3, couple shots, 4 attempts, a couple of hits. Obviously, the one giveaway. I mean, you're gonna have to make some mistakes along the way, and the Oilers are gonna have to live with some of those mistakes from Dylan Holloway. We've seen a few pretty significant ones already, and hey, those are gonna happen. I think he's much more suited in this moment to be on a third line where, hey, if you produce offensively, great. If you don't, that's okay. Work hard, skate hard, hit hard, and just try and have little victories. You put him in prime time, and he's out there with great players against great players, and bigger moments can often happen. Sometimes it's positive, sometimes it's negative. We saw a negative one tonight, but we saw some positive too. He had a couple really good shifts. That one, he was all over it in the offensive zone, was darting in and out of spots, had a chance around the net. He did have some good looks and does continue to. Okay, let's wrap up with another quick talk about the goaltending, just more than anything moving forward here. I was saying after when you were running for your life out of the building there after you hung up, I was saying I think it's probably time to start leaning more towards Skinner in terms of game to game, giving him more than you would be giving a number 2 or even a 1B. You absolutely give him next start. Then they've got some time. If he wins, I think you got to consider just continuing to go with him. And I'm not saying you don't play Campbell again, but at a certain point, you got to pay attention to what's going on right in front of you and concern yourself with which guy gives you the best chance to win tonight. And right now, the answer more often than not seems to be Skinner.
Yeah, and I wrote that actually after Saturday's game, just obviously when Campbell was very hard on himself and very honest with the way his performance, which has been pretty plain for a lot of people to see. That they obviously the Oilers were going into the season wanting to give Campbell 50 plus starts and Skinner the rest, the 25-ish range, depending on how things kind of shook down. And I think you kind of need to get that number kind of closer to even. I don't think it'll be anywhere close to even at the end, but yeah. I think you're right. Like that Skinner's got to take a little bit more of the action. I would be stunned at this point if he's not in net, Saturday.
Oh, he has to be.
Yeah. And I thought that was a good move by Woodcroft not to pull Campbell because
you did. Hey, yeah. I wondered if he might go in. I thought to myself, might be I didn't feel like they were out of it. And I thought, make the change, shake up the lines. He shook up the lines, but didn't make the change in net. So you think it was smart from a fatigue standpoint? Because
Then you give I mean, they do have the day off tomorrow, but it is a bit of an earlier start on Saturday, 4:00. Not a complete afternoon start, kind of that mid afternoon, late afternoon start. I'd rather have Skinner going in there with a fresh start and having not having gone in there for mop-up duty tonight. So I did like that move. Going into the third period, especially with the late goal against, I figured they were out of it. I mean, obviously McDavid did score, relatively early in the third to make it 4-2. But, we kind of wondered in the press box if he would turn to Skinner for the third period. I thought it was the right call not to, but, hindsight's 2020. I think the way that the game ended, and again, as we talked about it, I think some of those goals down the stretch were on Campbell too. So maybe Skinner, stops those in the game is, gives the Oilers a chance to pull even down the stretch. It's hard to know, but I did like that. I do like now that Skinner has has rest going into a start that the Oilers would like to win to even keep the road trip or end the road trip on an even note.
Yeah, I'd agree with you if he'd started last game as well, but he didn't start last game either. And then there was a day off, and it feels like, I don't know, going in and playing 20 minutes, to try and mop up and give the guys a fighting chance. And then 20 minutes, no game tomorrow. Anyways, it's neither here nor there. I thought maybe it might have been a good idea, but they decided not to. And as you point out, he is fresh. Okay, Daniel, you want to tell us what you have coming out in The Athletic here? You don't have to tip your hand too much if you don't want, but where can people find your stuff, and what are you working on?
Yeah, well, the Athletic, obviously, and DNB Sports, my Twitter handle, and I'll be writing off this game tonight, and I think my story is going to be how the Oilers better get used to playing without Evander Kane, because there isn't, a trade coming. Although they have extra cap room, they're not going to be using it because they, it's a situation where, as everyone knows, Evander Kane expected back in 3 to 4 months. That's not the end of the year, and they need to make sure they have that cap room. At their disposal to bring Evander Kane back onto the roster when that time comes. Right. So they're gonna have to figure out how to work without him, and I'll have some other fun stuff off this road trip, kind of in the days to come too. So just kind of keep your eyes and ears.
All right.
For that. Yeah.
At DNB Sports, grab a bucket, start putting the fire out there, buddy. Pitch in.
Yeah, I'll find one here and start launching. It's a pretty big building, so
Yeah.
it's like it'll take a little while. But I do have an early flight to catch in the morning, so I don't want to help out too much especially when I'm getting out of town too.
Are you on the rest of the trip, or are you coming home?
No, I will be in Florida,
Nice.
in Fort Lauderdale, for Saturday's game. But that 6:45 a.m. flight tomorrow is quickly approaching.
All right. Well, get going, pal.
Yeah.
I appreciate your
Alrighty.
time. Coffees for the next 3 or 4 days are on us, okay?
Sounds good, Ryan.
All
Okay,
right.
talk to you soon.
Cheers, pal. That is Daniel Nugent-Bowman on the road with the Edmonton Oilers in Carolina. Of course, Daniel writing for The Athletic, one of the Edmonton correspondents that The Athletic has going. All right, tough loss for the Oilers. They played so well last game, and then to come out and play like this, mistake-filled game. Tough performance from Jack Campbell as well. The good news for them, they got one game on this road trip left to try and rebound, try and salvage something out of this. And then they're going to have a little bit of team bonding in Florida for, I think, a day or two after this next game. So there's a little carrot at the end of this road trip for them. That'll wrap up this short shift. Big thanks to our sponsors, Mid-City Construction Management, and of course, Weiss Johnson. LeBrun and I think, are going to drop another podcast tomorrow. So for all your NHL news and notes, check us out. Got Your Back NHL, LeBrun and Rishaug. I think Mike Johnson will be along for that ride as well. So keep an eye on that tomorrow. Thanks a lot for your downloads and your subscriptions. Thanks a lot for coming along on this podcast ride. Hey, leave us a review on iTunes if you get a chance. We'd love to hear what you think. By the way, I was going to read some comments off of Twitter tonight and get some fan reaction. Yeah, there's no point. You all feel the same. You're frustrated about the goaltending, and that's putting it politely based on some of the stuff that hit my inbox. So maybe we'll do a fan reaction on a night where it isn't quite so poignant. Have a great Thursday night. Take care, everybody. Talk to you soon.